Hey everyone, it's Mr. Huff. I'm so glad to see you back here today. The last time we got together, we talked about the element of art called line. Now, lines can really look like anything, but some lines have names. Lines that go from the floor to the ceiling are called vertical lines. Lines that go from side to side, those are called horizontal lines. Last week we didn't talk about a special line that goes from corner to corner, and that's called a diagonal line. We talked about wavy lines that are made up of curves, up and down. We talked about zigzag lines that go up and go to a point and go back down and up to a point and come back down. We talked about swirls or spirals that start out like a O and keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Then we talked about dotted lines. They're just a row of dots. They could be a wavy dotted line, a zigzag dotted line, a straight horizontal dotted line, a straight vertical dotted line, and a straight diagonal dotted line. It's all well and good that we know about lines and what they're called, but what can we do with those lines? Well, let's take a look and see what some artists have done with lines. This artist uses lines to make a landscape. A landscape is a picture of outside. Bridget Riley uses lines to guide viewers through this building. Frank Stella uses lines when he paints his canvases. Pablo Picasso used lines to draw a person. Keith Haring used lines to draw a bunch of people. Whenever you want to review the different kinds of lines, or to get some ideas on what you can do with the lines, check out your Google Classroom, look for your Elements of Art workbook, and click the Line tab. But for now, let's see what we can do. I'm getting started with a marker. The last time that we met, we drew horizontal lines, and vertical lines, dotted lines, zigzag lines, wavy lines, but we didn't draw diagonal lines. And diagonal lines start at a corner and they end up at the other side. They go up at an angle, so we could draw some diagonal lines. But what can we do with all these lines? We have to put them together to make a picture. So I'm going to start with one horizontal line, and that's going to be where the ground meets the sky, and artists have a name for this. It's called a horizon line. And horizon is part of the word horizontal. So on the horizon line is where things that are far in the distance will sit. So I'm going to put a little house up here. I'm going to draw two vertical lines and two diagonal lines and some horizontal lines. So then I'm going to draw some vertical lines down, and I'm going to make a little house with a window. In the foreground, or the lower part of my page, foreground, I'm going to make some curved lines. And then I'm going to go a little bit higher up and make another curved line. And then a little higher up and make another curved line. And I'm going to draw a diagonal line across the top of them. Real dark diagonal line. And then I'm going to make a dotted line that's vertical. Another dotted line that's vertical. And I'm going to do that down here too. I'm going to do 2 more vertical dotted lines. I'm going to draw a diagonal rectangle, which is just a really thick line. And then I'm going to draw another diagonal line, but I'm going to make that thicker too. Thicken it up and fill it in. So now I drew my version of a swing set. I can draw a wavy line, and then another wavy line, and then a diagonal line, and some more vertical lines. And now I have a slide. I'm going to make this a third wavy line. So it looks like we're looking at the side of this. Maybe I'll have to add a 4th wavy line and make this one really thick. And I make it thick by drawing it and then carefully coloring it in. See, I made it a little bit, I colored it in a little bit over the line, so I just made it a little bit thicker there. When I get close to the sides, I just go a little slower. And if I make a mistake, then I just make the line a little bit wider. Okay, now a playground should have something for kids to climb on. So I'm going to make kind of like a zigzag line, up, over, down, over, up, over, down, over. And then I'm going to do that twice. Up, over, down, over, up, over, down, over. Then I'm going to put some lines to connect it, and we'll make these little climbing structures for our kids in our story to play on. Now, instead of this being down on the ground, I'm going to put some vertical lines on it and make it look like it is up off the ground. So everywhere the line changes directions, I'm going to draw a vertical line down from it. Got to have one on the other side of it too. So there's going to be a pair of vertical lines at each section. And I'll make one just a little bit shorter so it looks like it's further away. See how I'm making that one line shorter? There we go. Now it looks like it's up off the ground. I'm gonna add a little bit to this. That looks like a little bit unfinished there. There we go. All right, so now maybe we should add something else to this, but I'm not sure what to add yet. What ideas do you have?